3 weeks. That's how long my dress had been missing. Not just any dress. A custom-made midnight blue Versace gown. Hand-stitched crystals lining the neckline, catching light like tiny stars. My father gave it to me on my 40th birthday. The last gift he ever gave me. I tore my entire closet apart looking for it. Blamed the dry cleaners, even questioned my own memory. But standing there, in the middle of my father's funeral, I finally found it. And I wish I hadn't. She was sitting in the front row, wearing my dress, holding my husband's hand. The stained glass windows of St. Augustine's Cathedral spilled colored light across the room, and the crystals on my dress scattered it into tiny rainbows. It felt like the universe was laughing at me. "Becca, what the hell are you doing here?" I whispered, frozen in the aisle. She turned slowly, smiled. Perfect, controlled, practiced. The kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. Rebecca Thornton, 28. Marketing executive at my husband Grant's firm, and apparently his mistress. "Natalie, darling," Grant said softly, like I was the one causing a scene. "You knew you'd be emotional today." Emotional? My father was in a coffin 10 feet away, and my husband was holding another woman's hand. "I'm here for support," Becca said sweetly, squeezing his fingers. "Family supports family during difficult times. Family." That word hit something inside me. Hard. "Family?" I repeated louder than I meant to. Heads turned. Whispers started. And then she said it. Out loud. For everyone to hear. "I'm practically family now," she announced, calm and confident. "Grant and I have been together for almost a year." A year. The number slammed into me. Paris, business trips, late nights at the office, weekend conferences. Every lie suddenly made perfect sense. "That's my dress," I said. "Of all the betrayals, that's what came out." "Oh, this." She stood, casually spinning. The crystals shimmered, mocking me. "Grant gave it to me," she said lightly. "You never wore it anyway. It's a shame to waste something so beautiful." That's when I looked at him, really looked at my husband of 15 years. Grant couldn't meet my eyes. He just stared down at his hands, like the answers to everything were written there. And for the first time, I realized I didn't know this man at all. This man, the one sitting in front of me, was the same man who held my hand when my father was diagnosed with cancer. The same man who whispered for better or worse at our wedding. The same man who showed up to every family dinner like he belonged there. And now, he was sitting at my father's funeral, with his mistress, Natalie. Aunt Helen's voice cut through the noise like a blade. "The service is starting. Sit down." She didn't ask. She placed me firmly, guiding me forward. But not to my seat, not beside my husband. No, I ended up one row behind them. Behind the woman wearing my dress, and slowly stealing my life. The service began. Father Martinez spoke about my dad, his kindness, his integrity, his devotion to family. Every word hurt. Because right in front of me sat the opposite of everything my father believed in. Becca leaned into Grant, comfortable, casual, like she belonged there, and his arm resting across the pew behind her, like it had always been his place. My father would have hated this. James Crawford wasn't a perfect man, but he was a strong one. A respected corporate lawyer, a generous man, a sailor who lived for the open water. But above all, he protected me, always. The day Grant asked for my hand, Dad took him sailing. They came back sunburned, smiling, and Grant had a black eye. "Your father's quite the sailor," he joked. Later, Dad told me the truth. "I made something very clear to him," he said. "If he ever hurts you, there will be consequences." Now, my father lay in a casket, and Grant was hurting me in front of everyone. In high definition, the eulogies began. My cousin Mark spoke first, then Dad's business partner. And then, it was my turn. I stood up. My legs felt like they didn't belong to me. I walked past Becca, past my dress, past Grant, who finally looked up, panic flickering in his eyes. The cathedral was full. Clients, colleagues, kids from the sailing program Dad funded. So many lives he had touched. "My father," I began. And stopped. Cleared my throat. Tried again. "My father called me 2 days ago." The room went still. He was in hospice, barely able to speak, but he had something important to tell me. I locked eyes with Grant, didn't look away. He told me he had hired a private investigator. A ripple moved through the crowd. He said he was worried about me, that I seemed unhappy. I paused, let it breathe. Imagine his surprise when the report came back. Photos, hotels, romantic dinners, a business trip to Cabo. That wasn't business at all. The whispers started, low, sharp, unavoidable. Becca froze, completely still. My father's last clear words to me were, I swallowed. Don't let him take anything else from you, sweetheart. I've made sure of it. At the time, I didn't understand. I was too busy losing him, too broken to see anything else. But this morning, everything became clear. Grant stood up suddenly, trying to leave, but Aunt Helen? Yeah, she was ready, arms crossed, blocking the aisle like security at a nightclub. But this morning, I continued, my voice steady now. His lawyer explained everything. I lifted the paper from my notes. Dad changed his will last week. Would you like to hear it, Grant? Natalie, please. His voice cracked. Too late. To my daughter, Natalie, I read, who informed me of her husband's affair. I leave the majority of my estate in a protected trust, one that her spouse can never access. A collective gasp. The beach house in Martha's Vineyard, the investment portfolio, the sailing yacht Integrity, all of it belongs to Natalie. Alone. Becca shot to her feet, her composure gone. Grant, what is she talking about? Oh, she didn't know. Of course she didn't. Grant had always played the self-made man, never mentioning that his lifestyle, his success, his image was built on my father's money. And one more thing, I said, my voice stronger now, colder, to my son-in-law, Grant Morrison. I leave the sum of $1 and a piece of advice. Silence. A man who betrays his wife during her father's final days deserves exactly what he's earned on his own. Nothing. This is inappropriate. Grant snapped. You're making a scene at your father's funeral. No, I said calmly. You made the scene when you brought your mistress to my father's funeral, wearing my dress. I'm just telling the story. A man stood from the third row. Mr. Blackwood, Dad's lawyer. Perhaps we should continue this privately, actually, I said, cutting him off. There's one more thing. I found the final paragraph, and for the first time, I smiled. My father was very specific. He wanted this part read publicly to Rebecca Thornton, who, according to my investigator, believes she's about to become the next Mrs. Morrison and inherit a fortune. I looked straight at her, held it. I leave this reality check, the house, the cars, the country club membership, the accounts, none of it belongs to Grant. It all came from my family. I hope this information helps with your future decisions. Silence. Then everything exploded. Becca turned to Grant, her voice sharp, cracking. You told me you were rich. You said the house was yours. The investments were yours. They are mine, Grant snapped weakly, desperately. Actually, Mr. Blackwood's calm voice sliced through the chaos. They're not. All eyes turned. The assets in question, he continued smoothly, are inherited. Gifts from the Crawford family. He adjusted his glasses. And thanks to the prenuptial agreement you signed, none of it belongs to you. That was the moment it hit me. Even now, even from beyond the grave, my father had protected me. One last time. Becca took a step back. Then another. Her confidence? Gone. That midnight blue Versace dress suddenly didn't look glamorous anymore. It looked like evidence. You lied to me, she whispered to Grant. You said she trapped you. Said you were stuck because of the money. Classic. And Helen muttered loud enough for half the cathedral to hear. Father Martinez cleared his throat awkwardly. Perhaps we should take a short recess. No, I said, stepping down from the podium. I'm done. I turned to the crowd. Thank you for coming to honor my father. He was a man of integrity, a man who believed in truth and consequences. I let that last word hang. I think he would have appreciated this. And just like that, I walked down the aisle, head high, leaving destruction behind me. Becca's heels clicked rapidly against the marble floor. Then she ran, actually ran, out of the cathedral. Grant shouted my name. But Aunt Helen? She shut that down instantly. Don't you dare follow her, you pathetic leech. Outside, the California sun was blinding, harsh, unforgiving. I sat on the cathedral steps, and for the first time in months, I laughed. Not a polite laugh. A real one. Raw. Free. My phone buzzed non-stop. Messages. Calls. Shock. Gossip. The entire family had just witnessed the collapse of my marriage live. A hand rested gently on my shoulder. I looked up. Mr. Blackwood. Your father would be proud, he said quietly. He always knew you were stronger than people realized. I swallowed. Did he really change the will? Last week? Blackwood nodded. The moment he saw the investigator's report, he had me at his bedside at 2 a.m. He wanted everything airtight. Before he died, I whispered. He handed me an envelope. My name, written in my father's shaky handwriting. I opened it right there on the steps. My darling Natalie, if you're reading this, then everything has already unfolded. Your husband is learning what it means to stand on his own. I'm sorry you won't be there to see it. Tears blurred the page, but I kept reading. You're stronger than you think. Your mother rebuilt her life after betrayal, and so will you. The boat is yours now. Take her out. Feel the wind. Remember, the best sailors aren't the ones who avoid storms, they're the ones who learn to sail through them. All my love, Dad. There was a postscript. Check the safe in my study. Combination. Your birthday. I left something else for you. I was crying, but not the same tears. Not grief. Not anymore. These tears, they were something else. Mrs. Morrison, a young reporter approached. I'm Sarah, from the Chronicle. What just happened in there? Would you like to make a statement? I paused, thought about Grant, still inside, trying to salvage whatever was left of his image. Thought about Becca, running away in my dress. Then I thought about my father, spending his final hours making sure I'd be okay. Yes, I said, standing tall. My father, James Crawford, was a man who protected his family until his last breath. Today was meant to honor his life, but the truth has a way of revealing itself. And your husband? She asked. Soon-to-be ex-husband, I corrected. And he can keep the dollar. He's going to need it. I got into my car, mine. Another gift from Dad, and I drove home. The house? Grant would be out within 30 days. Legally. Efficiently. I made sure of that. Inside my father's study, the safe held everything. Documents, evidence, financial records, proof, and keys. To a beach cottage in Carmel, one I never knew existed. The deed? In my name, dated just last month. A sticky note read, for when you need to start over, the sunrise is beautiful. So that afternoon I packed a bag, let Grant come home to an empty house. Let him explain his downfall. Let Becca keep the dress. Because some things aren't worth getting back. The cottage was perfect, quiet, private, facing the ocean. That first night, I sat wrapped in a blanket, watching waves crash against the rocks. Hundreds of messages flooded my phone. Support. Shock. Curiosity. Grant begging. I deleted them all. Except one. From Aunt Helen. Your father would be raising a glass right now. So I'm raising one for him. To truth. To consequences. And to new beginnings. I lifted my glass to the horizon. Thanks, Dad, I whispered, for everything. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Grant got exactly what he earned. His salary, his old car, and a ruined reputation. Becca, she left him within a week. Turns out, she wasn't interested in a man whose wealth belonged to someone else. I sold the big house, kept the cottage, and started something new. A scholarship in my father's name for young women studying law. Because integrity matters more than inheritance. The yacht Integrity became my escape. Some days with friends, some days alone, but always with him. In the wind. In the waves. A year later, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, my Versace dress. Clean, perfect. With a note. I'm sorry. I donated it. Because some things, once broken, can't be restored. Not trust, not betrayal. But here's what I learned: the greatest inheritance isn't money, it isn't property. It's knowing someone loved you enough to protect you, even after they're gone. It's the strength to stand up in a room full of people and speak your truth. And the courage to understand that starting over isn't the end. It's freedom.